Hi, and welcome back. In our previous videos, we learnt about the zero conditional, which is used for facts and things that are always true, and the first conditional, which talks about real possibilities in the future. If you haven't seen those yet, you can find the links in the description below. In this video, we are going to look at the second conditional, which is used for imaginary or unreal situations in the present or future. Let's get started. We use the second conditional to talk about hypothetical, unreal, or unlikely situations and their imagined results. Unlike the first conditional, it refers to things that are impossible or improbable in the present or future. We use the second conditional in two ways. First, for unreal or hypothetical situations, things that are imaginary, unlikely, or impossible now or in the future. For example, if I were taller, I would be a basketball player. Here, the present reality is that I am not taller, so this is an imaginary present or an unreal situation now. Another example, if I won the lottery, I would buy a house. This describes an unlikely or imaginary future situation. I don't really expect that to happen, but I can imagine what I would do if I did. It's just an imaginary future. Second, we use the second conditional for giving advice to make our advice sound more polite and less direct. It often begins with, if I were you. For example, if I were you, I would talk to your parents. This sounds much softer than simply saying, talk to your parents. We use if I were for both singular and plural subjects, I, he, she, it, we, and they. In informal speech, you may sometimes hear if I was, but if I were is the standard and more formal form. Also remember, the past tense in the if clause doesn't show past time. It shows that the situation is unreal or imaginary, creating distance from reality. Finally, second conditional sentences, also known as type 2, are often called hypothetical or unreal conditionals in the present or future because they describe situations that are contrary to fact. Now let's look at the structure of the second conditional. We use it to talk about unreal or unlikely situations in the present or future and their imagined results. The sentence has two parts. The if clause, which shows the unreal or unlikely condition, and the main clause, which shows the imagined or hypothetical result. To form the second conditional, we use the past simple tense in the if clause followed by would plus base verb in the main clause to show the result of the condition. Let's look at some examples. If I had a lot of money, I would travel around the world. If she studied harder, she would get better grades. If I were you, I would save some money every month. Here, the past tense in the if clause doesn't mean past time. It simply shows that the situation is not real. It's imaginary or hypothetical. We can also use other modal verbs instead of would. We can use could to express ability. For example, if I had more time, I could travel more. And might to express possibility. If it stopped raining, we might go out. Remember that you can put the if clause either at the beginning or at the end of the sentence. The meaning stays the same. When the if clause comes first, remember to use a comma. For example, if she knew about the meeting, she would attend. Or she would attend if she knew about the meeting. Both sentences mean the same thing. The order changes, but the meaning does not. Now it's time to practice using the second conditional. Complete each sentence with the correct form of the verbs in brackets. Remember, the if clause takes the past simple and the main clause uses would plus base verb. Also pay attention to where the if clause is. It can be either at the beginning or at the end of the sentence. Pause the video and try to complete all the sentences by writing your answers in your notebook. Then, we will check the answers together in a moment. Let's check your answers together. As you review, make sure you have used the past simple tense in the if clause and would plus base verb in the main clause. For the questions, check whether you correctly inverted the subject and verb. For example, who would you call? Notice that in the answers, the verbs in the if clauses are highlighted in green, and those in the main clauses are highlighted in turquoise. And remember, the if clause can come first or last, but the meaning always stays the same. If there is any answer you didn't understand, please leave a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Let's quickly review what we have learned. The second conditional helps us talk about unreal or imaginary situations in the present or future, things that are unlikely or impossible right now. We form it using if plus past simple followed by would plus base verb. The if clause gives the unreal or unlikely condition, and the main clause shows the imagined or hypothetical result. We can also use it for giving polite advice, like, if I were you, I would talk to my teacher. And remember, the if clause can come first or last. The meaning always stays the same. And that brings us to the end of our lesson on the second conditional. If you found this video helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.